Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast. We have an amazing update to get to you this Saturday morning. I guess we're not taking any days off, not when we got this piping hot news in the Justin Baldoni versus Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively lawsuits that are going down. On Monday, in just a couple days, we're going to have an update as to whether or not the judge approves Blake Lively's request for a protective order. It's the gag order. That's where they don't want Brian Friedman to share this website full of all of the facts and evidence against her. Well, now we're finding out that there is an amendment for Justin Baldoni's side. He's adding the evidence that you guys found into his court documents. This is unbelievable, although not that all surprising. We've worked on a few cases where people's evidence gets sifted through. The good stuff rises to the top. They all flood it and send it to the lawyer's office. And then they say, dang, you got a good point here. We couldn't have paid for an expert to find all of this, but the internet does internet things, and that's what you guys did. Now, listen, I'm happy to share anything the internet wants to do for Blake Lively's side. In fact, I will share one video here where someone has a theory as to why Blake is the victim. So, trying to be fair, but right now, I mean, the cream is rising to the top, and it is there in support of Justin Baldoni. Let's get into it. I'm going to share Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, what he has to say. I'm also going to try to give credit to what I believe are the two main people that found the metadata, the URL information, and then the embedded photo information. So I want to give credit to everyone who worked on this. It's unbelievable stuff. So this broke late last night. By the way, I had a stand-up show in Chattanooga, which is 2 hours and change away from where I live in Nashville. And during my stand-up show, I asked some of my audience, like, are you guys following this case? And I talked to some people, really nice folks. And one lady I met, a rock climber, said she thought both of them were creepy. And I asked, and I said, why do you think Justin's creepy? And one of the things she said was, well, he, admitted to some creepy things. But I said, where'd you hear about that? And they said, Blake's lawsuit. So it's just going to show that the initial information that went out there from the New York Times lawsuit is damaging to him if it's not true. Now, it might be, but it might not be. So that's kind of where we stand. So let's read this TMZ article, and they've got Justin Friedman's statement. Brian Friedman's statement. Justin Baldoni says he now has cold, hard proof Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had it out for him several months before she dropped her Christmas surprise lawsuit against him. So now he's updating his lawsuit against them. According to the new documents obtained by TMZ, Justin alleges the malicious and reckless defamation of his character started at least as early as October 31st. You don't say there, Justin boy. And there it is in layman's terms. And in Justin's lawsuit, he says that shows that the New York Times started building the allegedly defamatory article no later than October 31st, the date the outlet developed a tool to display the text messages which were such a prominent part of Blake's lawsuit in the Times article about it. Yeah, so they have the dates, the metadata that was stamped on there. So, that's where it's at. And this is thanks to you guys. So I'll share some more of what Brian Friedman had to say, but it was a tweet. And so here's the tweet that I think is the one that blew it open. And this was the tweet here from Leanne Newton, where she went into the source code and she said, there it is, the source code of these messages. Now, like they said, these are not original messages. The contents of the messages are, but they took the text and put them into an app so it spits it out looking good. And they did that on Halloween. So they were going, for Halloween, they were dressing their costume up as credible journalism, but again, the mask has been pulled off. So that's not the only credit, of course. This came, 2 days ago, January 28th, and then 4 days ago, we had Guji Pooj, and don't forget her. She's the one who first found, with the help of some people pointing her in different directions, the URLs were saved as December 16th. Now, I'm going to share someone arguing Blake's side of this. But first, let's go down to what Brian Friedman had to say. Team Baldoni says that's significant because the elements behind the now infamous article strip away the legal shields that Lively, the Times, and other Lively parties were likely relying on to protect their malicious acts of defamation. As we've reported, Justin is suing the New York Times for $250 million, separate from his $400 million lawsuit. Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, tells TMZ, the decision to amend our lawsuit was a logical next step due to the overwhelming amount of new proof that has come to light. This fresh evidence corroborates what we knew all along, that due to purely egotistical reasons, Miss Lively and her entire team colluded for months to destroy reputations through a complex web of lies, false accusations, and the manipulation of illicitly received communications. The ongoing public interest in this case online has ironically shed light on the undeniable facts pertaining to the New York Times and how heavily Miss Lively and her representatives were not only deeply involved in the attempted takedown and smear campaign of Mr. Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and their teams, but that they themselves initiated it. The amended suit includes a more than 150-page timeline that lays out in meticulous detail the sequence of Blake's alleged campaign to destroy Justin, how detailed it goes all the way back to January 1st, 2019, when Justin emailed Colleen Hoover, the author of the It Ends With Us novel, and follows step-by-step through the saga to January 29th, 2025. No word back from Blake Lively's camp. Now, I want to play for you what a TikToker is saying as to why he believes the abuser is Justin Baldoni. It's a 6-minute video. I'm only going to play the first few minutes. This is ex-patriarch. And again, it might hold some weight. It's that you got to be honest and try to provide as many sides to the story as you can, but you can decide for yourself which you believe.
The New York Times, before it's filed in court, is something a victim would do. Before the New York Times article was ever published, Baldoni's own team leaked the complaint to the press and gave us all the evidence to prove it.
All right, so he alleges, this TikToker, that Justin Baldoni's team leaked it to the press. And again, might not be a bad idea to do that, and I'm going to show you why.
Lively's legal team noted that they filed the complaint on Friday, December the 20th, and at the same time sent a copy of the CRD complaint to Baldoni's legal team. In Baldoni's initial complaint against the New York Times, page 2 states that at 9:46 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, December the 20th, New York Times reporter Megan Twohey requested plaintiff's response to an imminent 4,000-word bombshell story concerning their alleged orchestration of a smear campaign against Blake Lively. Wayfarer were asked if they wanted to provide a response and to do so before noon Eastern Time the next day, December the 21st, complaining that this was a mere 14 hours overnight. Yet just hours later, TMZ begins working on an article titled Blake Lively Sues Justin Baldoni for Sexual Harassment Smear Campaign. This was at 2:10 a.m. Eastern Time. Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman is also up at this hour and
which, by the way, he lives on the West Coast, so 2 a.m. East Coast time, not that late at night to be up on the West Coast.
6 minutes later, at 2:16 a.m., sends his response to the New York Times request for comment. At 2:16 a.m. Eastern Time, plaintiff's legal representatives responded. December the 21st at 7:54 a.m. Eastern Time, TMZ published their article and are the first to break the story.
So it sounds, if this is true, what he's saying is just that, Blake Lively, when she filed the complaint, also got it to the hands of New York Times, which we know they had it beforehand, and gave the complaint to Justin Baldoni's lawyer. Justin Baldoni's lawyer possibly gave it to TMZ, and rather than give his statement to the New York Times, he gave a statement to TMZ, taking the wind out of the sail of the New York Times article. Now, this is just chess match, if you ask me, because what's happening there is he's giving another periodical the clicks that might not have the entire story that the New York Times has. First of all, I don't even think that's this big of a deal, but I will tell you what's interesting. The New York Times is behind a paywall now, isn't it? So it might, if you're on the defense and there's an article that comes out alleging you're this terrible guy, so many people share the headlines, you screen grab it, you post it, you share it. So it's not the worst idea to want to then leak it to TMZ, which people might actually read and then not get the full version, but get the sanitized version with your response to it. Again, I think if you're going to look at Brian Friedman and Justin Baldoni as like, well, they leaked it. It's like, yeah, but also Blake was working with the New York Times for multiple months on this story. So it's like, if they're leaking it, they still have the defense that they're trying to minimize the effects of this campaign against him. So again, I'm not on one side versus the other, but I do think that Blake has done enough mischaracterizing of the truth to leave people in doubt. And once people are in doubt, it's wild out there. So much so, check this out, that Ryan Reynolds is getting slammed online. Check out this TikTok here by Lice Muncher 4 hours ago. Ryan Reynolds faking paparazzi shoot after Justin Baldoni lawsuit ruined his image. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I don't 100% believe this, but have a listen.
Does something look off to you in this video? Many viewers were quick to point out the similarly taped up boards that everyone just so happened to have with them when Ryan was out and about, and the fact that none of the paparazzi mentioned the recent Justin Baldoni and Blake drama that's taking the internet by storm. Many viewers think this was staged to distract or show that he still has adoring fans. What do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. I don't know if this is considered paparazzi, but if you zoom in here, see how there's all of this nice fan artwork? The comic book industry is pretty wild, right? If you can get an autographed Deadpool comic book, that's a good deal. But if you can get it mint, that's an even better deal. So these people aren't necessarily fans of Ryan Reynolds. They've got poster boards taped with the blue tape, which is the painter's tape, which doesn't leave any residue, right? They've got that. And again, just to be fair, I don't see this as staged so much as people that could literally care less about the TMZ drama because, in all due respect, they're nerds who want to go sell this to some comic book store. And here is a video that was going viral that shows Brad Pitt. Now, I'm guessing this is during the pandemic, so it's probably a pretty old video. But what you see in this video is kind of the same deal. You see autographed people right here, and look, they've got the Fight Club poster. They've got all these things. So what they can do is they make it really easy for Brad Pitt to sign these autographs. No fumbling through things with a Sharpie. Here's a poster board with 4 images. There it is. So again, you got to be careful online when you think everything's a conspiracy, right? When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're online looking for Ryan Reynolds to be a terrible guy, you say, oh, he must have fabricated this. I don't know where this is, but if they knew in advance that Ryan Reynolds was showing up, I'm sure, and I've never even seen Deadpool. I'm not a big comic book guy. You know why? Because I have friends. I'm kidding. Comic book movies are great. I don't have the intellect. I didn't have a dad growing up, so I ended up watching rom-coms. I'm stuck with Matthew McConaughey shirtless and Fool's Gold. That's a whole thing. But I wish I could just get behind a good comic book movie. But anyway, I don't understand them. I need something in reality, like 10 Things I Hate About You. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Anything that has 10 in it. So anyway, 10 Ways to Kill Your Career by Blake Lively. So here we have, I just don't buy it. And you say, well, yeah, but how come no one asked about Blake Lively? Because they don't care. They don't care about that. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. I'm not sold on it. But I'll tell you what, this is wild. Now, this started going viral this past day. This is a clip of Nice Pool, the character that Justin Baldoni alleges is based off of him, and Ryan Reynolds is looking diabolical in this clip. Have a listen. Oh, hold on one second.
I love playing.
Hold on. I muted it. Have a listen.
Boy, do I love playing Nice Pool. He's just so manufactured and so nice that, by the time his head is just blown clean off of his body, you're breathing a slight sigh of relief.
There it is. Now, look, I do believe, and I didn't at first, and I've you know what? My mind has been changed. At first I said, oh, that's a stretch. He's creating a character after Justin Baldoni. That's weird. I believe it now. I believe it. The feminist podcaster and the man bun. I believe it. I believe it. So I've changed my mind. See, we can do that. And you know what? Hey, I'm going to get things wrong. But I wanted to respond to this one comment. I found it interesting. Actually, I'll get to this in a second. I wanted to go to this one comment. You are coming off on Justin's side, and all I'm saying is you shouldn't be coming off on anyone's side. You should just be coming off on what he said, what he's saying, what she's saying, and stay neutral. Well, yeah, but also I can have my opinion too. It's a tight needle to thread. I'm trying to give people as much evidence and information as possible, as much bandwidth of everything going down. But I'll let you know what side I'm leaning on, because you know why? Because I'm not, whatever. Like I'm me. You can say I'm biased, but I don't have any stake in this. If anything, I should be team Ryan Reynolds. I've had Mint Mobile as a sponsor, but I'm not. So far, in the most part, I'm leaning on Justin, mainly because, other than a lack of evidence by Blake Lively, but mainly because of the several instances in her lawsuit where she mischaracterized things. The pornography, which was a water birth, the missing of the upside down emoji. There's a few instances. The slow dance scene where she says, "Oh, he said I smell good," but it's like, oh yeah, but he was referring to your whatever. So I see that, and that's actually what I land on more than anything else. The idea that all the cast members unfollowed Justin, it's like, yeah, well, I mean, imagine if Blake told them some atrocity happened, they wouldn't confront Justin, they would just unfollow him. You know what I mean? I don't know. So that's where I stand. But let's go back to this idea of the gag order possibly happening. And, we heard from one of our lawyer friends when we talked about the this metadata. And they said, the metadata doesn't really matter because it's totally normal for people to coordinate with the news. It's totally normal. And it's like, all right, I mean, I guess so. But at the very least, there should be no way that Blake Lively can blame Justin Baldoni for wanting to create a website with evidence, right? I mean, you can't really blame him for that, knowing that for months Blake Lively was coordinating with her own website, the New York Times. I mean, isn't that a pretty bombshell website? So check out this link. And this is from Blake Lively's side. Document from a week and a half ago. Since the Wayfarer parties and Mr. Friedman received the cease and desist letters, they have continued their harassing and retaliatory media campaigns, with almost daily media statements or other releases to the press. Earlier today, the Wayfarer parties leaked a video to the media that they asserted is designed to refute the allegations made in the Lively case, even though those allegations are now before this court in not one but two federal complaints. They have further indicated that they intend to create a website to increase publicity around the exhibits filed in the Wayfarer case. In one of today's multiple statements, they stated that the website will contain all correspondences as well as relevant videos that quash her claims. My thought about this is like, Blake, if you're so upset about him creating a website, you create a website. We can do a Squarespace link. You can do all the embedding you want. I don't think she has much grounds here because, you're mad that Justin Baldoni is going to create a website to share what? Unedited information? All we know is she sent the information to the New York Times, a website, but also did it with edited information. Some of it being, like I said, the missing emoji. The $250 million missing emoji. So that's what I land on, and I say, well, I mean, if we're going to be rolling in the mud, let's roll in the mud. You know what I mean? So either way, credit to Gucci Pooj for initially finding the December 16th date. Credit to Leanne Newton, I believe, for cracking the code here and looking at the embedded files and dating them back to October 31st. I don't see how this is Justin's fault when you can see there's no way he would have been the one to embed this there. And now that we know that this information is coming up in Justin's defense, that he's adding this to his side of the trial, I think it's pretty clear right here that they appreciate the evidence. And look, I'm not taking claim for it. You guys just tag me in it. I did see a lot of people saying, a few people have said this, which it's like, whatever. They've said, you just ripped off Candace Owens. And it's like, listen, first of all, Candace Owens has her own theories. God bless her, God whatever. But she got this information the same way I did, from Leanne and from Gucci Pooj. They're the ones, as far as I know, that are the originating sources here. So I like to credit my sources. I'm not going to credit Candace for doing the same legwork that I did. She's a channel with 1,000 times bigger following, but good for her for digging it up and platforming it, whatever. But in the end, this is you guys. You guys take the victory lap. You guys were finding the needle in the haystack. Also, Citizen, there's the Twitter account Citizen as well. I can't. I'm already thinking, there's people I'm not crediting here. So Citizen journalist right here. Actually, she shared. I say she. I have no idea their gender, but Let's get into it. Baldoni amended filing, starting with this Valentine's Day text. "You're safe here." Baldoni expresses he doesn't always use the right words, and Lively assures him. So this new information's coming out in the long-awaited additional information. Oh, geez, this is coming out right now. Lively tries to do rewrites for another character and more on that 2 a.m. voicemail message. "I appreciate being able to communicate openly always," Lively says. Okay, so there's a lot of new information coming out, so we're going to have to get to it. But I want to thank them and everyone else who's been on top of it. And look, this is one of those things. This court case is going to play out probably in the courtroom where it's going to settle. But I think we're entitled to discuss it, and we shouldn't bash anybody. Let me tell you this, and I have to remind people, it's not necessarily my audience, but there's people that are believing Blake Lively. Don't bash them. Don't yell at anybody online. Maybe they didn't get to the same conclusion that you did. But we just need to live in a world where it doesn't become really toxic, where I'm on team this or I'm on team that. If you believe Justin, believe Justin. You'll have your time to support him. It's not going to make Blake, go away or whatever. But if there's just random people out there that didn't do as much research as you did and they believe Blake, just they don't need to get attacked. You know why? Because then they're going to think all these Justin folks are absolute wackos. I'm not a Justin folk. I'm not a wacko, at least not because of this. Got my own wacko, reason. I'm a wacko because my Patriots team sucks and I got to go watch the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. You think I want that? So I got my own issues, okay? I haven't had sugar all month. I'm a wacko. I want to eat this gift my wife got me, this 100 grand bar she got me for hitting 100,000 subscribers. So thanks again for the 100,000K. Thanks again for all of the new Apple Podcast subscribers. I know you guys are listening here, but having you guys on Apple Podcasts really helps us rise up in the charts. And hundreds of you guys joined my Instagram, DNealz, DNEALZ. So appreciate all of you. We'll probably have other updates today or tomorrow regarding all of this new information coming out. So double check, confirm you're subscribed, hit the alert bell, and we'll be back. Have a good Saturday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Neal.